Children's television weren't always dirty words. The golden age of children's television stretches from the 1940s to the 1970s, but I contend that a shard of that wonder persisted through the ultra-commercial 1980s, if you know where to look for it. So, what went right? Anyone who wasn't watching TV in the early 80s might be rolling their eyes right about now. Really? A kids show with a loose framing device featuring human actors and scenes with puppets, interspersed with stop-motion, animated, and live-action shorts? This is just a Sesame Street model, and we already know how successful that was. Why cover Pinwheel and not that? As I mentioned in the first episode, I will be covering Sesame Street extensively, but what makes Pinwheel special is, like Sesame Street, on the foundations of Pinwheel House, they built an empire. To begin, we're going to have to travel back to a time when cable was becoming the next big thing. Smaller regional networks often competed with the larger national networks, HBO being the big dog there, by aggregating local shows to a wider regional audience. In 1977, Cube, a new two-way interactive network owned by Warner Cable, began broadcasting out of Columbus, Ohio. In a competitive bid, they included 10 free community channels, one of which was C3, a children's channel running episodes of their new show Pinwheel during broadcast hours. Eventually, C3 just became known as Pinwheel.
Warner Amex is dedicated to programming leadership in the communities it serves. But there is another kind of leadership, too. Technological leadership. And technological leadership is squarely centered on the Warner Amex system we call Cube. Naturally, Cube has attracted a lot of attention, particularly from the networks.
I went to Columbus to see how it worked.
Television has sometimes been criticized as a passive medium, one that doesn't let the people at home respond or participate. But a cable television system is being tested in Columbus, Ohio, that gives viewers a lot more to do than lie back in an easy chair and nibble cookies.
Do you ever get the urge to answer back to your television set? Some viewers in Columbus, Ohio can, and they get results.
Tonight we're going to take an unscientific but instantaneous sampling of public reaction out in Columbus, Ohio, where the Warner Communications Cube system will enable us to take an electronic man-on-the-street survey.
The only system of direct two-way television communications in the world to offer each and every individual subscriber the ability to interact directly with the programs they are watching. Just sheer fun.
We would like for you, as godparents of this child, to pick the name.
In fact, the possibilities of interactive television are almost endless. Cube could be used in such areas as shopping at home, for home banking, for information retrieval, and credit card transactions. And your community will develop its own ways of using Cube. It's the ultimate choice in television watching, and the best way we know for people to communicate with each other through the video medium.
In 1979, Warner purchased the RCA Satcom-1 satellite from Tammy Faye and Jim Baker and rebranded Pinwheel as Nickelodeon, launching on April 1st to many Warner Cable regional networks. Nickelodeon ran commercial-free during broadcast hours and at night, handed over to Star Channel, which would eventually become the Movie Channel. In addition to producing original programming, Nickelodeon also secured the syndication rights to Canadian, Australian, and British children's shows, as well as English dubs of older foreign language content. Pinwheel reformatted to an hour-long show, shown in 3 to 5 hour blocks during the day, the precursor to what will become the modern Nick Jr. block. 260 hour-long episodes were produced between 1977 and 1982, and Pinwheel remained in syndication until 1989 on Nickelodeon and until 1991 on Nick Jr. So, besides its prestigious destiny, was Pinwheel ever anything more than a Sesame Street wannabe? In my opinion, yes, and while it wasn't the cultural phenomenon of its predecessor, it deserves to be remembered more than it has. Pinwheel altered the model of Sesame Street, focusing on a smaller community. the residents of a boarding house rather than a city block, speaking to the children of the suburbs or rural areas where Sesame Street had been created to appeal to a primarily urban demographic.
Are you making lunch, Smitty?
Yeah, just a little snack, Minus. Peanut butter sandwich.
Smitty,
Yeah?
are peanut butter sandwiches hard to make?
No, not at all, Minus. You just take 2 slices of bread like these,
Yeah?
and you smear a little peanut butter on each slice,
Yeah?
and then you put the 2 pieces together, and presto, peanut butter sandwich.
Wow.
Would you like me to make you one?
Yeah. Oh, no thanks, Smitty. Aurelia's making lunch for me now.
Ah.
Yeah.
She sure does make good lunches, doesn't she?
She sure does. Smitty, are all slices of bread the same size?
Oh, no, I don't think so, Minus. No, some pieces could be, smaller than this, and some slices could be larger. Well, why do you ask?
Oh, I was just wondering what would happen if you made the largest peanut butter sandwich in the whole world. So large it would be as big as a person. Yeah.
The largest peanut butter sandwich in the world?
I wonder how you get a...
Pinwheel House was a large boarding house owned by Aurelia, a wise motherly gypsy and psychic, with her own crystal ball phone that Tiny Me desperately coveted. Her human boarders were Sal and Smitty, an elderly couple who ran the local newspaper, Jake, and Kim, who was Aurelia's niece. Being too young to quite understand what a boarding house was, I spent several years trying to figure out the family tree of the show. I decided Aurelia was the grandmother, Sal and Smitty were her daughter and son-in-law, and that Jake and Kim were her grandchildren, and also they were married. The fact that they were all different ethnicities was a sticking point to my headcanon, so I also decided there was a lot of adoption going on at Pinwheel House. There was also a female mime named Coco, but quite honestly, she scared me, and mimes served no purpose in the show or the world, so we're gonna gloss over her for now.
I think I hear something.
He thinks he hears something. Oh, he thinks he hears something.
I think I see something.
He thinks he sees something. Oh, it's just an old feather duster.
That sounds familiar. I think we must be close to him now.
The puppets of Pinwheel were a very diverse crowd. Besides Aurelia, there was the elderly Silas the Snail and the Admiral Bird. The 2 hobo bugs, Herbert and Lulu, usually turned up to sing songs, and lived in the backyard with Molly McMole, an Irish mole who made her home in a hollow tree. Luigi O'Brien was a produce vendor who lived nearby but parked his cart by Pinwheel House. All his fruits and veggies talked and were sentient, leading me to believe he wasn't a very successful vendor. 3 of the puppets were actual boarders. Ebenezer T. Squint, a crotchety old guy comparable to Oscar the Grouch, lived in the basement, while the twins Plus and Minus, again similar to Bert and Ernie, lived in a room upstairs.
I think you ought to put it over there.
Put what up?
More string over there.
Oh, okay.
But, Mr. Teddy, what do you think?
Okay. What do you think about this rubber glove?
Put it over there.
Maybe I should put it over here?
Well, whatever you think.
How about over there?
I'll ask Mr. Teddy.
Doesn't make any difference to me, Kim. What is that thing, anyway?
Oh, I don't know.
You don't know? How could you make something and not know what it is?
Well, that's the fun of it. I just make it up as I go along.
Boy, oh boy.
You're just making this up as you go along? That sounds like a lot of fun. So, Kim, I have some sound boxes over here, and maybe I can put them on there and see what happens.
Okay.
See how it turns out, huh?
Sure.
You like that? Yeah. Maybe this one right here.
What is it?
I don't know, Ebenezer.
Oh, listen, I got an idea. Why don't we put a daily noodle on it?
That's a great idea, Sal.
Right.
Yeah?
Daily
Oh,
noodle.
Coco, you want to put something in
Yeah,
too?
that looks pretty cute.
What's your idea? What?
Cute.
Oh, yeah.
Where else should I put
Coco.
this sound box?
That's wonderful.
That looks really nice.
Can you believe this, Minus? They don't even know what they're building.
Most of the scripted scenes revolved around the same themes of any children's show: sharing, dealing with others, overcoming adversity, problem solving, etc. The pitch was to show children a connected theme from various points of view, a concept that was very big in the 1980s. The characters all had their own quirks and conflicts. Ebenezer's life goal was to make the front page of the Daily Noodle, the newspaper run by Sal and Smitty, while Smitty's life goal was to catch a glimpse of the elusive Admiral Bird. And Aurelia was always available to dispense wisdom as the matriarch of this community. The rest of the show consisted of animated or live-action shorts from a variety of different countries. Many were European content previously dubbed into English for use on the British show The Magic Roundabout, it being a BBC version of the original French show. It was through these segments on Pinwheel that I was introduced to The Bunny in the Suitcase, which was originally Hungarian, Curious George, Picture Pages, Professor Balthazar, which was originally Croatian, Haddetown Tales, Musty the Cat, which was originally Flemish, Madeline, Simon in the Land of Chalk Drawings, Bolek and Lolek, which was originally Polish, Chippy Chapo, which was originally French, Paddington Bear, and even animated shorts by the National Film Board of Canada. As mentioned before, the shorts and scenes are intercut and designed to meet, but not exceed, a young child's attention span. Pinwheel was Nickelodeon's sixth longest-running show. It was formerly number 1 until You Can't Do That on Television broke its record. Mid-morning, when children's early shows had given way to talk shows and soap operas on other channels, Pinwheel was always there. My mother was working on her PhD in the early 80s, and I have very vivid memories of being sat down with lunch to watch Pinwheel while she worked on the floor next to me. This was a completely new format in early cable television, a channel airing children's shows all day, rather than just in the early morning, mid-afternoon time slots set aside for that demographic. Nickelodeon was the first dedicated channel for children, and it was Pinwheel that earned it that distinction. The next 15 years would be a wild roller coaster of success for the fledgling channel, leading to original shows, feature films, its own award show, and even its own section of Universal Studios. Even though the Green Slime Geyser fell dormant in 2005, the aging of the first Nickelodeon generation hasn't stopped the company's growth. The twinkle in Dora the Explorer's eye, when magnified 1,000 times, is the glimmer of Pinwheel, the forgotten show that started it all. They did it right.
This episode contained footage owned by Nickelodeon, and our use is not meant to challenge that ownership or copyright. We present it solely on an informational basis. If you'd like to watch more Pinwheel, check out upload sites such as Dailymotion or YouTube.
When Chris gets going, it's going great. Coming up, Pumping Iron, as Chris visits a kid who wants to muscle in on Arnold Schwarzenegger. Then he spends a day at the races watching bathtubs run rings around each other. But it's on the ice that Chris finds the action he likes best. Watch Going Great, Thursday at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific, and again at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, only on Nickelodeon. It's Going Great, America's first video magazine just for kids.